This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Calling to order the meeting of the uh, Town of Mono Police Services Board. We don't have too much on the agenda today, so we'll move forward fairly quickly, I think. Recognizing Elaine Capes is on the call. Elaine, did you want to ask questions, or are you just listening in, or what's the scoop?
No, I'm kind of just listening in, and I guess my curiosity, and if I was more in the loop, I would know the answer to the question. It was about maintaining our individual police services boards, given the change in OPP ubiquitousness.
Okay, perfect. We'll actually have that as a status update item. So feel free to ask any questions when we get to that point.
All right, thank you very much.
We don't stick as close to the rules of orders as some other committees might do.
Okay.
Recognizing Staff Sergeant Tony is on the call. Good afternoon, staff. Can't see you,
Hi,
but
good afternoon, everybody.
Okay. Any declarations of pecuniary interest or conflict for today's meeting? If so, as we go along, raise your hand and we can discuss it at that time. Okay, there's no public question period, but we recognize that Elaine Capes is on the call and she's welcome to ask questions or join in at any time as we go along. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting held June 16th, 2021. Any changes or amendments to that, to those minutes?
No, not from my end.
Okay, actually, I'm out of order here. Let me back up a step here. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda, or are there any changes to the agenda for today's meeting? Yes, Mayor. Oh, John is moving, and Wayne
I'm happy to approve.
Wayne is seconding. All in favor, opposed, carried. Okay, on to the minutes. Any changes or amendments to the minutes of the June 16th meeting?
No.
Seeing none, motion from Wayne, seconded by Mayor Creelman. All in favor, opposed, carried. Weren't really any matters arising from those minutes, so let's get into the status updates. Mayor Creelman, any update on the towing bylaw? Have you heard anything with respect to that from the county or any of the other municipalities?
Well, Orangeville is taking the lead on that, and I think everyone went to sleep after the province announced that it was going to regulate the towing industry. But I have not heard anything with regard to how they are proposing to do that. And they were going to set up a registrar, and they were going to license, and they were going to do various things. And to be honest with you, I think Orangeville should continue to go ahead with some sort of bylaw that could ultimately be subsumed by provincial legislation and regulation. I'll follow up on that.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Creelman. The next item is the update on the detachment board. Mayor Creelman, I believe there was a motion at last night's meeting, and I didn't stay on it to hear the whole thing. Can you give me an update as to where we stand here in the town of Mono?
Well, as you recall, we put forward a model that consisted of 4 detachment boards. Orangeville, pardon me, 3 detachment boards, Orangeville and Shelburne going together, and then 2 other, pardon me, it would have been 2 other rural combinations. And we were proposing to link up with Melanchthon, Mulmer, and form our own detachment board. Now, the beauty of that proposal was that we would not have any change in representation, leaving aside the issue of the provincial appointee. Wayne, sorry about that, but we were looking at one representative of a council and one representative from the public appointed by a council. That, for whatever reason, didn't fly because Orangeville and Shelburne decided they wanted their own standalone police service boards. So Grand Valley took it upon itself to come up with a model that consisted of standalone board for Shelburne, standalone board for Orangeville. The argument being that they are recent converts to OPP policing, and there will be transitional issues that will go on for some time. And then the other rural municipalities basically would have boards consisting of 3 municipalities, again patterned on what we recommended in terms of 1 member of council, 1 person appointed by council from the community. So that came up for discussion last night, and the sense is that it is close enough to what we originally recommended that we could live with it. We passed a motion accordingly, and so all Dufferin municipalities are now unanimous in what they want to see going forward, and I hope the province takes note of that.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Creelman. Staff Sergeant Jelich, have you heard anything at all in the pipeline about what is happening, or what the Solgens folks are starting to craft?
No, I haven't. I had a discussion with Terry not that long ago, just about any status updates, if he was aware of any of the boards coming up with any decisions. And no, I know that Mayor Crimlin's right. They're still discussing between Orangeville and Shelburne. And, Terry and I, neither one of us are kind of a part of that discussion. It's up to the board to sort of, make their decision based on agreements with the other service boards or whatever whatever you sort of decide. So unfortunately, no, I can't give you any status. I'm not sure. I think I know as much as you do.
Very good, thank you, Elaine. What did you want to ask with relation to this that's within our area that we can discuss?
No, actually, I just wanted to understand where we were, and I was in the Mono meeting last night, but didn't really get a chance to stay for the whole meeting. But so I can go back and read the Grand Valley motion because it was part of the agenda, and I guess that will help me.
Yeah, it basically, I think what the province wants to do, Elaine, is just have 1 board for every detachment, and this isn't working for a lot of other detachments and other municipalities. I had discussion with the unit commander of the Blue Mountain and Clearview, I think it's called, detachment, and they up there want to have 2 separate boards as well. So I think there's a lot of negative feedback from municipalities with respect to these mergers. However, there are examples of municipalities that have just gone for it and haven't really complained about it, such as, I believe, the New Tecumseh, the detachment, Nottawasaga detachment, has 1 board. Wellington has 1 board. So they could use this as an argument as to why we should have to have 1 board as well. However, how that representation of the population would sit, would it be a 12-person board, whether it be an 8-person board. So we're really up in the air to see what the province will try to, whether they'll, go with what we're suggesting for now as an interim measure, or whether they want to impose a single board. So it's going to be a wait and see type thing, Elaine, but we are monitoring it very closely at the board as well as at council.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And is there some centralized place where the pros and cons of each have been public? Mm.
Well, I think the AMO is, John, can you
AMO?
comment on that? I think AMO's,
Yeah, AMO got involved, but I think we have to back up. This is a solution in search of a problem. And we've all felt that our model works really, really well. And what we tried to replicate in part in the first iteration in Mono's proposal, and now in the Grand Valley proposal, is a situation where you have police service boards with 6 members, 3 counselors, 3 members of the public, representing each of the member municipalities. And then it's up to the province as to whether or not they add their representative or not. But in I think there's been a lot of pushback on this. And as I say, it really smacks of a solution in search of a problem, because there isn't a problem apart from maybe too many detachment board meetings to attend for the detachment commander. That's the only thing I can think of, frankly. And we've never heard an issue raised with regard to that.
Okay. So it's a question of what's the problem we're actually trying to solve with this?
We've never heard what the
Right.
problem is.
Exactly. Okay. No, thank you for that.
and just background also, Elaine, we do meet on twice a year with all of the other boards. It's not an official group, but we do meet as a joint Dufferin Police Board, usually twice a year, and we discuss all the matters of mutual concern at that time. And it seems to work well. And frankly, I've never heard a complaint from any board as to why they would want to disband and form into a larger group. So I think, as John said, it's an interesting situation, but we'll keep an eye on it and keep you posted.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, and feel free
Mr.
to.
Chair, if I can,
Yep.
the issue is not one of cost. Our police services board costs the ratepayers of Mono about $550 to $600 a year in terms of per diems and expenses. So this is not draining the budget by any stretch of the imagination.
No. Okay, thank you, Mayor Crammon. Any other questions or comments on detachment board? And I recognize Ann is on the call now as well. Okay, next item is the Black Cat device. I'm pleased to say that that the Black Cat speed measuring device that was purchased by the town for use of the OPP detachment has been delivered, and it was at some point in Terry Ward's hands, and I guess it's now in Tony's hands. Correct?
Yes, we have it here in the office. We have actually 4. We have 4 units now in the county. And on that note, we are in the process of creating a traffic unit. And so we'll be commencing shortly with training and getting those units set up.
Okay, perfect. And one thing that we're going to ask staff is that the one that was purchased specifically for Mono, that we would like to have some feedback from you as to the deployments and what measurements that were found for these different deployments within our town.
Absolutely.
Yeah, perhaps that could be reported out at our while we still have them at our board meetings on a quarterly basis. Just and of course, if there's any hotspots you're going to take action in any event. So you don't need any board permission for any of that kind of thing.
Correct. Yes.
Any comments from the board as to the Black Cat device?
If I
Yeah.
can,
Yep.
we still have a resident of the Mono Agila town line, and Elaine may be able to speak to this, who complains that speeding is absolutely chronic and out of control, whereas the measurements that we've taken in the past indicate that the vast majority of drivers are under the speed limit. So I just throw that out there as a potential location, mindful of the fact that we've already analyzed it.
Yeah, I guess to that point, John, that analysis was done with the solar speed device, which has the panel that shows the speed, and there's a tendency when those are around for folks to moderate their speed. I know it's set up right now on our street out here on Starview, and I know people slow down when they see what their speed is with the solar sign. But the Black Cat is a surreptitious device that they don't necessarily know is there. And I have a feeling that if the traffic unit put that on the town line, that the readings could be quite significantly different. So it'd be interesting, staff, as one of your initial deployments, if you could maybe throw it out there for a week or two, just to either verify the measurements taken by Mike Dunmore and the solar panel, or whether in fact the people were pulling the wool over his eyes.
Sure. And what was that location again, sir?
So
The Mono Amaranth town line south of Rosemont.
oh, it's Mona Agila.
Mono Agila.
Agila, pardon me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You said that at the council meeting yesterday too, Amaranth.
Yes.
Yeah, Agila. Yeah. Okay.
So it's Elaine here. This is my road. I live on this road, and actually, I live at the bottom of the hill, and this other person lives at the top of the hill, a little bit further from the top of the hill. And I can tell you, they're coming off the top of the hill faster than they're going by his house. But I've lived here 16 years, and I don't let my children play on the road. And, you know, I did at one time try to have the speed limit changed on our gravel roads, because 80 is pretty fast. But if you come from a subdivision where the speed limit is 40, 80 feels really fast. So I understand the optics and how it might be perceived that the traffic is really speeding, but they're doing 80, and that's the speed limit. And yes, there's probably the occasional speeder, but we live on a gravel road, and the volume of traffic isn't like Airport Road, where there's, you know, lots and lots of cars going over 80. So, you know, yeah, the Black Cat will tell you the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for that input, Elaine. Okay, the false alarm report, Madam Secretary.
Hi. Okay, so there was a bit of staffing change. So Paul Beaton, that usually passes the false reports, I hadn't been getting them, but I did receive them. And yesterday, as of yesterday, there was 20 false alarms from June to September 14th, but I haven't analyzed any of the data on how many were first, second, or third time. And also there's been a lot of property changes in the subdivisions where the alarms were happening. So I think that's going to impact, you know, second time alarm isn't the same owner as it was when I sent the letter for the first time alarm. But 20 is not bad compared to this time last year.
Okay, very good. In the OPP quarterly report, I noticed that there's some alarm reports there, and some of them were the same, 3 or 4 of them were the same residence or business. So it'd be interesting when you do your analysis to see how that works out.
Okay.
Okay, motion to receive the false alarm report. Wayne, seconded by John. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Um, the next item it's with sadness, Anne, that I received an email from you today telling me that you're stepping down from your committee and therefore your representation on our police service board uh, as a valued member from your committee. Um, I'll ask you for your final report, but before I say that, before I ask for that, I just really like to thank you for all the hard work that you've done within the community for community policing, and as an able and stalwart representative of your group at our meetings. So I know that you're busy in your work, and there hasn't been really much happening on the community policing side lately. So having said that, Anne, any report?
No, I wish I did have something, but obviously there's been nothing going on. Thank you so much for your kind words. I really do appreciate it, and it's been my pleasure to be part of the board for all this time. I've really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed working with everyone that's here. So thank you again.
Thanks, Anne, and you're the longest serving non-serving member on the board at the moment.
I don't
Mayor
know if that's a
Creel,
distinction or not.
yeah, Mayor Creelman, I'm sure that on behalf of the town, you echo my sentiments.
Absolutely, and it's rare that you get somebody with such dedication serving the community on a committee, and we do really thank you for your service, and um, you know, I will let council know at its next meeting, and thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so there's no report to receive, so we'll move on to the Staff Sergeant Tony Gillett show.
Well, thank you. I'll be brief. In terms of the report, everybody's received a copy of the timeline from April to June. And if I just kind of summarize what's in the report here in terms of violent crime statistics, this point to June of this year compared to last year at the same time, there's a 55% reduction in violent crime. Property related crime was an increase overall related to thefts, and thefts under 5,000, thefts over 5,000 have gone up slightly. 34% increase in property crime. Drug crimes have gone up from 1 to 2, so 100% increase in that. But there was two incidences of possession and trafficking, I believe related to a marijuana operation. In terms of clearance rates, for 2000 and drug crime, we have 100% clearance rates. Violent crime is a 67.7% clearance rate, and property crime 9.3. Related to property crimes and break and enters, we have had some in the area, and some were found to be, residences were entered, nothing stolen, to minor thefts of gas cans and things of that nature. No suspect information, and no clearance rates for those, unfortunately. If I go into the provincial offenses and the Part 3 summonses for the area, overall provincial statutes charges 3,000 charges for the second quarter. Overall for Part 1 summonses in 2021 for the period up until June, there was 2,030 provincial offenses Part 1s laid. In 2020, the same period, it was 2,144.
Yeah, question, staff.
Sure, go ahead.
Your April your April number is amazing. It increased from 66 in 2020 to 444. Do you have any explanation as to how that
Yeah,
magic?
yeah, I know that there was a number of traffic initiatives that were, put forward provincially. In addition to, and I think a lot of that speaks to, the kind of the numbers are sort of finding their consistency because of the amalgamations of between Orangeville and Shelburne. So we do have more officers. Focuses, are adjusting to certain areas, and I know that. We have the luxury now when we have a particular area of concern for, let's say, speeders on Airport Road or Horseshoe or Hockley or something like that. We do get people coming from other areas as well in support of. I know Larry Makowski doing some significant work monthly. I think he's doing like 10 street racers a month. In Mono. So, and I think in actually July, I think he was 25 street racers in July alone. So, I think in addition to the work he's doing, folks are coming out and supporting some of the initiatives and trying to focus on some of the areas of concern. So I think those are the reasons, for the most part, in April in particular, that the numbers have gone up. I think it just more resources. So whether they stay that high or they kind of fluctuate, I don't know at this point. We'll kind of have to wait to see. But I saw some of the numbers. There are some differences, significant differences, but generally that's the information regarding the provincial offenses.
Yeah, I guess hopefully the numbers go down if people stop speeding. So that's we should be looking for that, and hopefully these high numbers will result in some reduction in speed, so we don't see these high numbers again.
Absolutely, and anecdotally, I think I'm not sure if I mentioned this last meeting or not, but yeah, to speak to the issues of perception of speed versus actual, and I think it's quite common, and I know that we have had positive feedback from officers when we've had areas of concern. We'll request officers pay attention to, let's say, this road, for example, because we're getting lots of complaints of speeders. So the feedback is generally that, and this is, open plain view where, people see them coming, so they slow down. This is, in steps just to monitor as frank as possible, as to see the actual speeds. So we've had officers actually report that the speeds aren't as high as reported. So, and we're hoping with the Black Cat now, deploying it in strategic locations around Mono in particular, we can get that actual data. And I'd be curious, like you said, about that one location south of Rosemont, to see if in fact the speeds are lower. But that's something that we're looking forward to deploying and getting some data on, and being able to focus specifically some of the enforcement to those areas.
Great, thanks sorry for interrupting you there, Steph.
Oh, no, not at all.
Mr. Chair, if I could ask Tony a couple of questions. What is your experience with the POA court? Are you finding that you're able to swear Part 3 information easily and on a timely basis? And what does it look like in terms of having those matters and others dealt with on a timely basis by the POA court?
That's a good question. I would need to look at that a little bit more to see exactly feedback. I don't want to misspeak. In other words, so let me look into that, Mayor Krumman, and I'll get you the most accurate answer. From what I understand now, without the data, is that we haven't been having any issues.
Okay. I raise it only because in the old days, pre-COVID, you simply walked into an intake court to swear your Part 3 informations and get your summonses issued, and matters got into the system relatively quickly. And my concern is that they aren't now, and that the electronic swearing of criminal informations, for whatever reason, did not include Part 3 informations. And then the concern for us as municipalities, of course, is the flow of revenue from the processing of the Part 1s, the ones that people pay out, and of course, the backlog that is inevitably occurring in the courts insofar as trials are concerned. We're hearing, as an example, that if somebody gets a parking ticket today in Mono, their first court appearance isn't even scheduled until next March.
Okay.
Troubling.
Yes, yes. I know the process has changed, and there's a lot of information being transferred and shared electronically, and so yeah, I did hear about the delays, but I will find out specifically, if we are experiencing issues, specifically with Part 3s and PONs.
Thanks.
And that's pretty much, I believe, that pretty much summarizes my report.
Yeah, just looking at the half load infractions, I don't think we ever had a report on that before, so that was interesting to see that. I guess you've had the portable scales out from time to time.
Yes, we do, and I do know that the MTO have been coming to Dufferin, sending officers for various blitzes and things like that, inspections, and but yes, we are going to tie in the scales more to this traffic unit as well, so we're gonna see some more, I think, enforcement and inspections with that.
Can you tell us anything about this traffic unit? I imagine Larry will be part of that within our zone.
So yes, and in fact, so it's a kind of preliminary right now. Larry, we're going to try to leave Larry as an enhancement, focused on Mono like he has been. So we want to kind of leave Larry in place the way he is. That all being said, this traffic unit is we're looking at we're going to have an NCO, so a sergeant, and starting with most likely 2, potentially 3 officers. And this particular unit, so 4, ideally we can have 4, targeting the county. So they would be in Mono for a stretch, Melanchthon, Malmer, and Amaranth, and Shelburne and Orangeville, and Grand Valley and all that. They're going to try to focus hotspots and initiatives. We'll have some enhancements along with some of our emergency response team members. We have 2 now in Dufferin County, which we never had before. So their primary focus is emergency response. But while they wait for, well, I shouldn't say wait, but in the interim, while they're at detachment, they're going to focus on traffic initiatives. So we'll have that luxury. Larry, I can see while they're in Mono, supporting them and working with them as well. So it just makes for a better plan, and when you have a number of officers all at once in a specific area rather than just having 1 or 2 or so. So that's kind of the plan. We're looking to start this October, and we'd like to have our people in place, and we'll see how that goes. But the focus from our perspective, from a command perspective, is that we're able to then have specialists designated for the purposes of response and focus on traffic initiatives and complaints and things like that. It's tough sometimes juggling. You have people in the areas doing some work, but then called away often for other things. So this will give us that luxury of having some consistent focus.
That's good to hear, staff. And of course, with the fall colors coming up and the motorcycle runs on Hockley Road, that I'm sure will be starting or continuing in the months to come with the fall color drives, that the folks from your new unit will be giving some special attention to those high traffic areas as well.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
might share something just for a second, Mike. I
Yep.
saw last week a motorcycle pulling a boat on 89, Highway 89. I have never, ever obviously seen, he had some sort of contraption rigged up behind the motorcycle and he was towing a boat.
Did you happen to get a picture of that? I would have loved to see that.
By the time I saw it, he was by. I literally must have had my mouth open because I thought, I really can't believe what I'm seeing. It was just astonishing.
I've seen them pull small trailers, but I've never seen them
No,
pulling a
this was a
boat.
boat with a motor on the back of it. Like it was, I mean, it wasn't a huge boat, mind you, but by the same token, it was pretty astonishing, I must say.
Hmm.
What's the charge? Unsafe load?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd
Probably
be
not.
curious
Probably
to
not.
look that up.
If it was a three-wheeler bike, I could see.
Yeah,
I
no,
could.
it was just one
It was
fellow
just.
on the front, and it wasn't even a really large, like a Harley Davidson or something. It was, sort of something, I don't know much about bikes, but something in between. And he had some sort of contraption at the back of it around the rear wheel, and he was pulling a boat. So,
There you go.
There are companies that
One,
make trailer
one
hitches.
pothole away from oblivion.
yeah, exactly.
There are companies that make trailer hitches for motorcycles, although it's really not recommended by most motorcycle people.
No,
The
I wouldn't imagine.
motors that you talk about, Mike, that you've seen, it's people do it, but I don't know. It's not really a thing. I don't
Yeah,
think it's illegal, but I don't. I certainly wouldn't do it. I rode a bike for many years, so yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. There's enough going on without having a thing driving you from behind. So
exactly.
yeah,
Well, I'm just looking here on Google. I did an image search, and there's dozens of them here. A Harley
Really?
pulling a yeah, a Harley pulling a Chris Craft boat. Um,
Oh
a
my
bike
goodness,
towing
well,
a
it
boat.
wasn't unusual then.
No, so there's even pictures of bicycles towing boats here. So yeah, so it's not unusual pulling
Wow.
canoes, pulling full size Chris Craft motorboats, and anyway, so
Anyway.
I guess it's legal. But here's one pulling a trailer with a fake police car on it. Anyway, any other questions for Staff Sergeant Tony?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I just want to say thank you, Tony, on behalf of council for the deployment of officers to deal with the parking issues that we had earlier this year. I think it's fair to say that a combination of your assistance, our hiring an additional bylaw enforcement officer, and the no parking signage that has been put up around Mono Cliffs Park has, for the moment, dealt with the issue. Our bylaw people are out, they're ticketing, but when the fall colors come around again, I think we're probably going to take the cue from Caledon and do selective road closures as a means of controlling the parking and traffic issues. But in the meantime, thank you very much for the efforts that your folks contributed to that mini crisis that we had.
No problem, Mayor, and thanks for all your support as well. It seemed like it was a good team effort, and unfortunately, the outcome is good. Now, we had a couple of incidents, obviously, with some injuries and things like that, but overall, I think compared to how many people were there and how it did explode, especially with the COVID, I think it went fairly well. And Jen and I have had discussions to follow up regarding the fall colors, so we'll stay in touch with Mark in terms of how we can support throughout the fall.
And we'll let you know about any prospective road closures. That seems to work really well for Caledon at the Forks of the Credit, and they're temporary, but they certainly seem to have worked really well with our situation months ago.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Staff, has there been any use of the auxiliaries within the county yet?
So thanks for asking. Yeah, so they were stood down for a long time throughout COVID. And we've just now had some of them start to come back. We had one brand new hire. So we have a unit of about 6 in Dufferin. And so the goal is, and so what we're starting to do is utilize them for, some support of foot patrol in particular, and just getting out in the communities. So the plan is that we will try to utilize them as best we can throughout these, different initiatives and things like that. So we want to be cautious about, it's not just putting an auxiliary or 2 in a vehicle and sending them out to
Show the flag.
Exactly, yeah. So I want to be very cautious about how we're utilizing them, but certainly in a support role with uniform to go out and get people to move their cars from parking and things like that is something that we can certainly have them support us. They're very willing to come out and help, and obviously they're volunteer, and they're relentless with their energy, which is awesome. So like I said, use them but not abuse them is what we're trying to do. And but yeah, they are in the plan to be utilized more now going forward.
I know Caledon utilized them at Forks of the Credit just by having them sitting in the car at the top of the hill and just seeing the cruiser, not necessarily seeing that the person behind the wheel had no authority to write a ticket or anything other than a citizen's arrest, is still enough to slow people down.
Yep, absolutely.
And I understand we have a chaplain now.
Yes, I actually just started, and you know what? And my mind is shut down in terms of his name. Does anybody know his name?
It's Paul Carroll.
Paul Carroll. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
And I met him the other day. Seems like a very, very pleasant person. So he's very much interested in coming out with Terry and jumping in a car and just getting to know the area. So I understand he was Shelburne, or sorry, he was an Orangeville chaplain.
Yeah, he was the Orangeville chaplain, and I convinced him to put his hat forward for the as an OPP chaplain. He goes to the same chiropractor as me, and I have breakfast with him every now and then. But he's the chaplain. He's the pastor of the Pentecostal church on the west end of town on Broadway. Just trying to think of the name of it, but really nice guy, and he really relates well to the troops. So I think he'll be an excellent resource for your guys in the event that something comes up where they need a little bit more emotional support.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff Jelich? Okay, motion to receive the OPP oral report. Mayor Creelman, seconded by Evans, and all in favor, opposed, carried. Do we have any correspondence, Madam Secretary, other than Ann's resignation email?
Nope, nothing
Nope.
has come in at all. Nope.
Okay, thank you. Is there any new business? We do have there's supposed to be a joint police board meeting scheduled for 22nd of October. I asked the secretary to reach out to the other boards to find out if they know anything about if it's happening. It was supposed to be chaired by Orangeville, but I don't know whether they are following through with it. So I'll leave that with the secretary to get back to us as if there's any response. Okay, any other new business? Very good. Okay, well then I have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Wayne Evans, seconded by John Creelman, and that's at, we'll call it 1:45. All in favor, opposed, carried, and a motion to confirm the proceedings of the meeting of the Mono Police Services Board held on Wednesday, the 15th of September. Evans, Creelman, all in favor, opposed, carried. Elaine, any last words for us?
Thank you very much for letting me be here, and it's always a well-run, informative meeting, and I appreciate that, so thank you.
Well, come again anytime. Who knows, maybe you'll be a member of council next time. Who knows?
Oh, who knows anything?
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks Cheyenne and John and Wayne, and goodbye Ann. We'll miss you. And Tony, don't pull me over.
All the best.
Okay,
Thanks,
goodbye
John.
everybody. See
Take
you at
care,
the
Bye.
next
everybody.
meeting. November
Bye.
17th is our next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.